Hi, I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching accesstv.org.
Well, some of us are worried that when we start dividing up the system into one kind of school and another, and there's choice and there's lotteries and this and that, it lets go of the idea that everyone should have good equal education, no matter what side of the city they're from, what they look like, whether they want to go to college or they want to go to trade school to be a plumber. It's all fine, and there should, we think, we and some of us on city council and Democrats and people in the working families, all parties and the whole city think there should be equality. That's the point of the whole thing. And we tried to put that before the public tonight, that every school should be very good, best it can be, and not just some.
Also, very disturbing the fact that a complaint was filed and we don't believe in the lottery process. I would like to know how the kids, they got resources.
I am also supportive of opening another school because it can give students an opportunity, because when I was in 4th grade at Rawson, I didn't know anything. I just never focused, but when I went to Achievement First, I focused. I got better grades, and I just learned a whole bunch of stuff I never learned at Rawson.
Hi, my name is Shantae Brody, and the position that I have is that I just think of all the other schools that are waiting in line and saying, when is it going to be my turn? We have some populations that won't come out to a board meeting. No one will ever hear their voice, but still they're families with kids, and those kids have needs, and I know they're waiting for their turn. So for us to put someone ahead of them in line when they've been waiting for years for supports, I just think that would be grossly unfair, and that's where I stand on that.
Every kid deserves a school that not only will encourage them to dream, but will give them the tools and the skills to go after that dream. As a parent, I don't accept placing my son in a lottery system where there's at least one family school. And it's true that there are a lot of great schools in Hartford of all types, public, charter, and magnet. But I also know that there are failing schools. So as a parent, how can I sit by and accept the fact that my son's future is subject to a lottery system where a failing school is an option?
First of all, I would like to say that Achievement First should not open a second school until we deal with the real issue, which is the achievement gap. The achievement gap is driven basically by 3 groups of students. Poor students, students that are English language learners, and students that are special needs kids. These are the 3 groups that are most responsible for the educational gap that's an embarrassment to the state of Connecticut. We need models that work with those populations and that succeed with those populations if we're going to close that achievement gap. The so-called charter schools and model schools that I've seen, including some of our magnet schools too, and some of our private schools, deal with students that would be successful in any environment. Unfortunately, those students that don't fit the model are students that are suspended or expelled, and they go back to their neighborhood schools. This just concentrates within the neighborhood schools the kids that need the help the most. What we need to do is focus more on providing the wraparound services that those neighborhood schools need, so that those students in those neighborhoods can receive the support that they need to succeed. It's okay to have schools that deal with kids that don't have those issues, and that's fine. Tonight we heard a lot of students from Achievement First that are very good students, and I'm sure they would succeed anywhere they go. And I'm sure that they have parents that are very concerned about their future and that support them. But we're talking about another population of students that perhaps don't have the kind of family support, may not have a 2-family home, may have an incarcerated parent. It's those students that are at the highest risk of being dropouts that need the most support. And until I see a model that addresses those kids, we're not going to do anything about the achievement gap. So it's fine and well, but this reminds me of when we used to track kids within the traditional high school. We'd have the honors programs, and the kids there were largely middle-class kids with professional parents, and they did very well. We had the academic kids that did almost as well. We had the general population, that was a mixed bag, and then we had the programs that dealt with the remedial kids that did very badly and almost always never finished. And basically what we're doing now is a similar thing. We're tracking kids rather than tracking them within a building, we're tracking them in separate buildings. But it still does not go to the heart of the real issue, which is we have to address the issues of poverty, the issue of our English language learners, and the issues of our special needs kids.
Such as Achievement First. Our city and our community needs an excellent school in the south end of Hartford. Thank you for your time.
I'm a parent of 2 kids that go to Achievement First, and I'm in support of the school. My oldest son, this is his first year there. My other son's been there since 3rd grade. And I understand the detractors about the school. Unfortunately, they can't provide enough slots to all the schools. This is why they're trying to get the second school, to provide more opportunities to the kids. Everybody talks about the suspension rate. I understand that the suspension rate was high. However, I almost want them to pull the data on the kids that got suspended and look at their CMT scores. I'm pretty sure that all the kids that were suspended, their CMT scores far exceeded the other kids in the other schools. And more to the point, the whole meeting is about whether or not they should open up another Achievement First, opposed to discussing the fact of whether or not the schools that are open, that aren't charter schools, whether or not they're actually doing what they need to do for the kids. There's too much focus on whether or not we open up another school that's going to succeed versus the schools that are already failing.
So, we tried to say that that was in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King and so many other great people who spoke of the public obligation to educate all the children to the best of their ability. And we found that achievement didn't always do that, because if it expelled someone they didn't think was doing a good job, then they're not dealing with that child's issues or that family's issues. They're just saying, okay, you're on suspension, or you can go back to the public school. It's not fair to some of the children and families in the city when you have some schools separate from others. It's separate and not equal, in our opinion.
My name is John Motley, and I am a charter member of the Board of Achievement First Hartford, and I've also been the treasurer since the beginning. In the last year, I was elected chair of the board of the Achievement First High School, which we started with the assistance of Jamoki, which is the Fuse, part of the Fuse operation. I believe that all of our children throughout the city and the state deserve a great education. That means providing great choices, because each school doesn't fit each student. We need choices so that we can appeal to the different interests of the students. The Achievement First model, therefore, is not right for every student, but it has become, in the 5 short years that it's been in Hartford, the most sought after, most popular neighborhood school in Hartford. A lot of people think that it's not a neighborhood school, but that is incorrect. All of the seats are filled through a lotto system, and the lotto system might need to be corrected. But nevertheless, we don't get to select our students. They are selected by lotto. So more parents sign up for Achievement First schools than any other school in Hartford. And we are the highest performing non-magnet school in Hartford. So we have achieved a great deal. That is not to say that we are perfect. We are not. Many of you have read about suspension rates being high. They are way too high, and we are addressing it, and it will be fixed. But Achievement First schools are an excellent option for parents. I support those parents who are willing to put their babies on buses and send them to other schools throughout the greater Hartford area. But there are some parents who just want to walk their children to school, to a neighborhood school like Achievement First. But they want it to be a high achieving school. And that's why I'm so passionate about not just the existing Achievement First, but about expanding Achievement First.
Well, I think that was the essence of it. We could always talk about the money being spent and the fact that Achievement First, they're getting $1 million for administrative things. They spent money on all these t-shirts, and they could have spent them on books, on teacher salaries. That's another thing. A lot of money is going into private interests and special pockets, administrators. And we think they should go for the students, the books, the families that need it, and not all this fancy publicity. That's another thing. And it was worrisome tonight when you had all these people, good ones, meaningful, come out to support the school, but with t-shirts and the transportation and all that, instead of focusing on getting a good school education with teachers who are dedicated, including in the public school system. That's what we believe.
Would you please sit down, Councilman Deutsch?
A single public school system, equal for all children, education and freedom for everyone.
Councilman Deutsch, you're out of order, and I think you should leave the floor, please.
That's right. So we need equality of all students in a good public system, equal for all. Okay, so that means we think it's worth equal for all.
Councilman Deutsch, there are young children in this room that...
We thought that some of the articles in the newspaper recently showed that they were suspending students instead of always saying, well, this is our student, we will do whatever is necessary, and if he or she needs some extra help, we'll give it. And that should happen in the public school just as well as it should happen in Achievement First schools or in magnet schools or charter schools. But when you have some divided and administrators and specialists and this, that, it takes away from the neighborhood schools. And so many people talked about the needs in the neighborhood schools, the community schools, like we've always had, without all these divisions, these Achievement First, these corporations, these administrators, these special names for this school and that school instead of a good public elementary, middle, and high school education for all students, good facility. The other thing we felt very strongly about is when it said, put kids first. It's like saying they do that in achievement, but they don't do that in the regular public schools. And that is not right because there are so many dedicated teachers in the regular public schools. They work as hard as they possibly can with big classrooms, and to say that anyone who opposes achievement is not in favor of the kids is just wrong. And we had to say that loudly. We had to say it when some people didn't want to hear it, that we want equality for the neighborhood community schools, just like any school, and that means one good system for all the children.
I am supportive of opening another Achievement First because it'll give other kids an opportunity to get the same education that I am getting.
We started off by trying to say public, meaning public schools, public library, this is a public city hall, and there are public parks. That's democracy. In our opinion, real democracy is when the public has access to all the good facilities, and it makes sure their government guarantees that for them. And they struggle, like in the Board of Education and City Hall, if government is not doing something the right way, then come down and fix it. Don't just try to see grass greener somewhere else. It's democracy to make sure that the people keep the government on its toes and throw them out if they're not doing their job. That means whether it be a teacher, administrator, an elected official, the mayor, they need to do a good job on behalf of everyone and not have this divided system that's unequal, separate and unequal. That's wrong. And most people agree with that.